Hello everyone. The topic of today's lesson is political formation. Look at the scale. In it, we have included the level of voter dissatisfaction, the imbalance of the scale. These two sides show us politician and the voter, the two actors. And the politician, he's a bit lower. Notice what needs to be done to lift the politician, to work on him, so he improves his knowledge about political formation and political planning courses. And also on the voter's side, he also needs to be pulled up so that there is balance on the scale and the angle of inclination. Up there becomes zero. The ideal is zero. The ideal is for there to be balance between the two, and for them to get along well, to relate well. The voter needs to pay attention to the politician's performance, to evaluate whether they are doing the right thing and how each one is performing. On his side, the politician is more complacent today, right. And he also needs to accept the recommendations, observations, and priorities from the voter, which is what's happening. The voter mentions something. The politician takes it as a representative of the government and carries it out. So there we have a certain, let's say, it's not exactly happening that the demands of the voter are being met. Because the politician, many times, in this representative democracy, puts his own interest first. So we need to be very careful with that. What happens with that? The imbalance on the scale. What does it mean? They need to understand each other well, so that we can have this balance and the level of voter dissatisfaction comes zero. Very important. Then we will see who the actors are at the base of political formation. At the base of political formation, we have the voters, the politicians, and society folks. In a way, the foundation of political formation is made up of education. To apply conscious voting and education means words, knowledge. People need to improve themselves and learn a lot about the subject and engage in society. Very important. We have society to engage in social and political skills as well. And we have politicians acquiring the skills to hold a public office or having a better political education. In reality, the foundation of political formation is made up of education, personal skills, which are related to communication, public speaking, verbal expression, and we also have an association with commitment, the culture of commitment, which is also related to the improvement of human behavior. This is very important. And also, folks, the application of information technology. Without the application of information technology, we won't be able to do a good job of gathering the population's testimony about neighborhood priorities and administrative failures. And this way, can lead these demands to the city council to decide on projects, decide on recommendations, requests, motions, amendments, things like that. Now we're going to see that we have the aspect of education and knowledge. What a politician needs to know about, or rather, how to better manage the needs of the population. And to better manage the needs of the population, he has to work on his campaign. So he starts in the introduction to the study to assess a government diagnosis, how the government diagnosis is going. After he evaluates the government diagnosis, he starts preparing a plan, developing a planning process, and then scheduling to put his project initiatives into practice. And then we have a conclusion, which is the final result, where we will actually see if there is a need for any deviations in the plans, if the project was well implemented, if the project is viable. Because in many cases there are projects that are more like statements of intent than And it's difficult. As an executive character, difficult because they are unconstitutional. So in this part here, we need to pay attention to oversight in the implementation of the project. That's why we call it a structure that is behind all of this. Then we have, within project management and administration, government plan. In the government plan, we will have work process standards involved. All that part: initiation, planning, scheduling, control, execution, C, and closure. Then, in the areas of management, we have the scope, the cost schedule, quality, human resources, communication, and risks in acquisitions. The risks in acquisitions are related to bidding processes. They're related to purchases, which need to be very well evaluated and monitored, folks. So let's move on. Well, we talked earlier about education, knowledge, the importance of all this in political training, and projects, right? Now we're going to talk about each person's personal skills, social skills. And now we're going to talk about each person's personal skills. Personal skill, social skill. Today, more than ever, social skills are extremely important for personal and professional growth. In fact, they are job guarantees because companies look for professionals who have this skill over others who don't have this talent. So, within personal skills, we have verbal expression, which is communication, and it relates to voice, posture, and rhetoric, which is the structure of speech. We also have the part of naturalness, motion, and exemplary personal conduct. This is in the part of verbal expression, which is very important in political training. Then, on the other side, we have attitudes, which are related to a culture of commitment. As we said, people need to lean on each other. So empathy, Bo, is important, affection, an open spirit, transparency, always speaking the truth. So, these items are important for each person's personal and professional growth. And they are indeed part of personal and social skills in political training. Look, folks, now we're going to talk about the fourth item. See, we've already talked about education, knowledge of projects, project management. We talked about personal skills that are related to communication and a culture of commitment. Now, the fourth is information technology. We talked about personal skills that are related to communication and a culture of commitment. Now, the fourth is information technology. Without information technology, we're going to have difficulties bringing projects to the city council in an organized way. So we need to research in the city, in the neighborhoods, in the communities, and it's information with a lot of content. That's why information technology will help you present and demonstrate the priorities of neighborhoods, administrative failures, demands, problems. All of this we will show and guide through our representative who will go to the city council to try to solve these issues and assign solutions, channeling them to the appropriate agencies and public offices to resolve. Well, folks, we're going to wrap up this class here. We're going to have the next topic, which is the performance of the politician. Before that, I'm going to remind you a little bit of what we've already covered. We saw the importance of political training related to society, voters, and politicians. We saw the imbalance of the scale, that it's necessary to have political knowledge for both, for voters and for politicians. We saw that we need to work more on political awareness in society. This is very important, everyone. And we also talked about the foundation of political training, which is related to education, knowledge, and communication. We talked about the part related to a culture of commitment. We talked about personal skills related to education. We talked about applied information technology. Look at how much we've talked about today. And this part about the foundation of political training is very interesting. We need to encourage this kind of activity. We're stopping here. I would like to thank you. For more information, we're adding all this content to the handouts. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us again. We're here for you. A hug. Thank you very much.